Scientists had merged the genes of a shark and an octopus, but even they couldn't predict what the outcome would be. The story begins with a brother and sister on vacation with their father along the coast of Southeast Asia. Suddenly, massive fish leap out of the ocean, and behind them rises a gigantic octopus-like monster. It attacks terrified tourists without mercy. After the chaos, the beast collapses on the beach, lying motionless as if dead. The hybrid appears to have perished, but no one knows why. Scientists rush to collect tissue samples, and the research is led by pharmaceutical director Mr. Chen and his assistant, Dr. Fan. Wearing protective suits, researchers cut their way inside the monster's body. There, they discover 4 embryos, but all of them are dead. Just when they are about to give up, they find one living larva. But a shocking question arises: why is it already so big? They soon realize the octopus had been implanted with shark genes. As the scientists investigate further, the mutant suddenly bursts out, part shark, part octopus. Panic spreads as people flee for their lives, but the creature's deadly tentacles drag victims down while its massive jaws tear through everything. Moments later, the monster collapses again, lifeless. To everyone's horror, a scientist is pulled out of its mouth, but he survives. News reaches Mr. Chen: the Sharktopus is dead. Yet inside, another living larva remains. Dr. Fan warns Chen to stop these reckless experiments, insisting that their creation is far too aggressive. But Chen refuses. His dream is to achieve a groundbreaking scientific discovery. That night, Dr. Fan returns home to her sick son, Lon. Desperate to save him, she believes the brain fluid of the Sharktopus could be the cure. But before she can act, she is attacked. The scene shifts to a luxurious cruise ship drifting across the sea. Dr. Fan regains consciousness, only to find Mr. Chen standing before her, telling her that the experiment is far from over. Dr. Fan has no choice. If she doesn't continue, she won't be able to save her son. Chen shows her a living larva, insisting it must be kept alive at all costs. Reluctantly, Fan begins the experiment. She extracts brain fluid from the larva and injects a balancing solution, designed to properly merge the shark and octopus genes so it can grow stronger. But suddenly, Fan gives a desperate order: destroy the larva before it's too late. Before the scientists can act, the small Sharktopus lashes out, viciously attacking. It crushes a man's arm, then smashes its aquarium and escapes into the lab. The alarms blare as chaos erupts. The creature wraps its tentacles around another scientist, dragging him into the tank. Only Li Fan survives. Terrified, she flees the lab, only to witness the Sharktopus growing at an unnatural speed. In that moment, she realizes the truth: she has been deceived. Someone had spliced additional genes into the monster, making it even deadlier than before. Escape becomes nearly impossible. Just then, a special Interpol strike team storms the cruise liner. These were elite fighters, led by a man named OEI. They had discovered Chen's illegal genetic experiments, and were here to stop him at all costs. The strike team moves with lethal efficiency, cutting through Chen's guards with ease until they finally reach him. But Chen is already waiting, surrounded by the wealthiest and most powerful figures in the country. With a twisted pride, Chen announces to them, "Tonight, you will witness something truly grand." Chen proudly declares that his discovery will help humanity fight deadly diseases. Meanwhile, a passenger, feeling unwell, steps out to the deck for some fresh air. But as she looks into the ocean, her face goes pale. She spots the Sharktopus lurking in the water. Terrified, she stumbles back. At the same time, Interpol strike team continues their sweep of the ship. On the deck, they discover a white sandal, proof that the monster is nearby. Panicked, Li Fan rushes into the presentation hall to warn Chen. She tells him that the creature has mutated and is already killing people. But Chen coldly replies that every great experiment demands sacrifice. Moments later, the unthinkable happens: the Sharktopus bursts into the dance hall. At first, no one notices, lost in the pounding music and flashing lights. 2 Interpol agents seize the opportunity to arrest Chen. But before they can get him off stage, the monster grabs a dancer, then another. The crowd is oblivious, still dancing to the deafening music. Fan acts fast. She cuts the speakers and shouts at everyone to run. But instead of fleeing, the people laugh at her warning that proves to be their deadliest mistake. The Sharktopus lunges fully into view, now even larger than before. It smashes into the DJ booth, sending screams across the hall as panic erupts. OEI fights his way through the chaos, pulling Fan to safety. The monster seems to have a twisted purpose. It doesn't just kill. It plays with its victims, tossing them around like toys, as though humans are nothing more than disposable playthings. Survival feels nearly impossible. The Interpol agents retreat into the ship's kitchen, barricading the doors. Suddenly, someone pounds violently on the entrance. Weapons ready, they brace for the monster, only to find a terrified crew member begging to be let in. Inside, tensions rise. Fan finally confesses the truth. The Sharktopus is an experimental hybrid created from shark and octopus genes. Chen immediately seizes the chance to blame her. He declares in front of everyone that Fan was the one who created and raised the monster. With a twisted smile, he admits he feels no regret, because his goal has already been achieved. That's when an enraged Interpol agent slaps Chen across the face. Fan breaks down in tears, and OEI gently tries to comfort her. It is then revealed, he is not only her ex-husband, but also the father of her child. Suddenly, enormous tentacles crash through the walls, grabbing two Interpol agents as gunfire erupts. The survivors flee through another exit, while OEI and Fan race back toward the laboratory. They know they must retrieve the brain fluid, because only the Sharktopus can save their son, Luan. On the way, a monster blocks their path. Thinking fast, OEI distracts it by tossing a live fish, giving them just enough time to slip past and reach the lab. Inside, disaster strikes. A woman's hand is sliced open by shards of glass. The danger is immense, because the Sharktopus can smell blood. Fan and OEI hide in silence, their breaths trembling, until the creature slithers past without detecting them. But once they leave the laboratory, the Sharktopus hunts down the remaining Interpol agents. It ambushes them in a frenzy of tentacles and teeth. Meanwhile, the ship's captain betrays his men, killing his own guard and escaping with his assistant, locking the agents behind. In the chaos, an agent named Ginger falls, gravely injured. Only a woman nicknamed Blackie remains by his side. With no other choice, Ginger sacrifices himself, pulling the pin on a grenade to destroy the monster and save her. Amidst the carnage, Chen makes his way to a locked cabin, where young Luan is being held captive. He cruelly orders the boy to call out to his mother over the loudspeakers. Hearing her son's voice, Fan's grief turns to fury. Chen demands a trade, "Bring me the Sharktopus brain fluid, or you'll never see your son again." Desperate, Fan searches the lab and finds a small test tube with a few drops of brain fluid remaining, but it isn't enough. She picks up a syringe, realizing the horrifying truth. She must extract fresh fluid from the living Sharktopus, but to do that, the creature must first be neutralized. OEI grabs a vial of neutralizer and pours a nutrient solution over himself, using his own body as bait to lure the monster closer. Soon, the Sharktopus storms into their compartment. Fan and OEI lock the doors, but the beast smashes through the floor, relentlessly pursuing them. Thinking quickly, OEI floods the chamber with freezing liquid, hoping to slow the monster down. The Sharktopus thrashes violently, shaking the entire ship, before turning its deadly gaze toward Fan. The Sharktopus thrashes violently, striking at OEI, but the metal cage prevents it from reaching them directly. The temperature drops rapidly as the freezing system kicks in. Fan regains consciousness, grabs the extraction device, and manages to draw brain fluid from the creature's head. Success at last, but they must escape immediately. The Sharktopus shatters its frozen tentacles, but before it can reach them, its entire body locks up and freezes solid. Our heroes are nearly frozen themselves, struggling to move, when suddenly Chen appears holding an explosive device and young Luan captive. He demands the brain fluid in exchange for the boy's life. OEI reluctantly hands over the medical case. At that moment, Blackie arrives and a fight breaks out. Amid the chaos, Fan finds her son and quickly removes the explosive strapped to him. But the ship's cooling system fails, and the temperature in the containment chamber rises. The Sharktopus stirs, and awakens. Breaking free, the monster immediately turns on Chen. At last, the villain meets his gruesome fate. OEI tosses the explosives to Blackie, who hurls them into the chamber. A massive blast rips through the ship, tearing open its hull. The survivors scramble to the deck as water floods in. Engines fail, and the liner drifts helplessly toward deadly reefs. The remains of the Sharktopus sink into the ocean, only to be devoured by an even larger mutant lurking below. Panic spreads as the ship smashes against the reefs, splitting apart. Survivors are thrown into the sea. OEI clutches his son tightly as chaos erupts around them. Then, from the depths, another colossal Sharktopus rises, striking at the wreckage. The final battle begins. The beast swings its massive tentacles, trying to overturn what remains of the ship. Blackie fights back with fearless skill, charging straight into the monster's jaws and striking a lethal blow from within. The Sharktopus sinks beneath the waves, but resurfaces again, roaring in rage, attempting to capsize the survivors. The ship's cook falls to his death. In the end, only OEI, Fan, and Lewin remain. When the creature comes for them again, Fan makes a heartbreaking choice. She picks up the neutralizer, kisses her son goodbye, and dives straight into the monster's mouth. OEI holds Lewin tightly as the boy weeps. Inside the beast, Fan injects it with a final, fatal dose. The Sharktopus lets out a bone-shaking cry before sinking forever into the ocean's depths. Silence falls. In the last scene, we